Welcome to Baby Boomer Tales. I'm Jim. Do you remember your favorite toy when you were 10 years old, for example? How about your favorite TV show when you were 10? Your favorite food? I'm going to share some of my favorites from that period in time when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, right in there. I just wrote down some ideas, but I'm going to wing it. I didn't put any answers. I basically put questions on my notes here. For example, color. That's all it says is color. So what was my favorite color when I was 10 years old? My favorite color always has been navy blue. Always. From the first I can remember liking a color to right up to now. I used to want to always have blue vehicles. I had a blue pickup one time. But my dad said something to me years ago. I was probably only about 23, 24. He said, "I don't like blue cars." From that day on, I decided I'm not going to drive any blue cars anymore. Even though navy blue is by far my favorite color, my sports teams usually have blue in their color, all except for Kansas City Chiefs. There's no blue in Chiefs Nation, but navy blue is my favorite color. Always has been, always will be, I think. My favorite sport when I was 10. Baseball. No doubt about it. Now, I liked basketball and football also, but I lived and breathed baseball. It captured my attention at a very young age, and that's all I wanted to really concentrate on. As I've gotten older, though, baseball probably third, college basketball and pro football are my first ones. And I think the main reason is, here in the Kansas City area, you have to subscribe to be able to watch most Royals games, or at least that's the way it's been. I'm not going to subscribe to watch a baseball game. I'll wait till the Royals come on ESPN or something, or some year they'll make the playoffs again. I'll be able to watch them on the main networks. I do the same thing with Jayhawks basketball. A service wants to make you pay to watch some of their games. Heck with that. Maybe when I was younger I'd put some money towards that. I am not going to do that anymore. So baseball was my favorite, followed by football and basketball. I never even heard of soccer back then. Now, I'm not talking about things like bowling or skiing. I did both when I was younger. I went bowling the other day. The grandkids from Colorado were here, and all the grandkids went down to this place called Main Event, which had video games and bowling alleys and all kinds of cool restaurants and a lot of things for kids, all this stuff. And I watched them bowl for a while, and then I bowled one line with them. I haven't bowled for a very long time, and I was a good little bowler when I was 10. But about the only bowling I've done for the last 15 years is on the Wii. You ever done that, bowl on the Wii? It's kind of fun. I bowl just like I'm standing up there at the bowling alley with my ball and everything. I do my approach and let the ball go and have that English on it and all that stuff. Well, I went to bowling. The first time I threw the ball down the alley there, I went, whoa, doggies. What is with this? I felt like my bones were all going to kind of break or something. Well, by the time the game was over, I got a little bit more form and I was bowling better. And I was hitting the head pin and stuff and not the gutter. But that was amazing. I just used to throw it so fast and I could, bowl 170, 180, stuff like that. Well, I did break 100. Yay, yay, yay for me. I imagine playing baseball or football or basketball be the same way as bowling anymore. My goodness gracious. Weird how you take some things for granted and all of a sudden it's, 40 years later and you can't take that stuff for granted. Moving on. Clothing. When I was 10, I had an outfit I wore. Converse All-Star tennis shoes. They were high tops back then. I wouldn't do high tops today. Either black or white. Blue jeans, and I think they were Levi's. The Levi brand, which I don't wear anymore. I wear Wranglers. A white t-shirt, just white t-shirt. I guess you would call it an undershirt today. And I still like t-shirts, but they usually say something like Jayhawks on them, or, standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, some kind of souvenir t-shirt, something like that. And I wore a navy blue baseball cap everywhere I went. I still like ball caps. It's my hat of choice. Anymore, I've been wearing a Baby Boomer Tales ball cap, which you can purchase those at our Boomer's General Store at our website. Food. Always liked hamburgers. Always have, always will. Hamburger, my number one favorite food. Not cheeseburger, but I'll tolerate cheeseburgers. I like steak. I like barbecue. I like wings. So I would say today it's hamburger number 1, wings number 2, barbecue number 3, and steak number 4. Don't get me wrong, I like a good steak. I do. I like a good steak. I didn't even know what a steak was when I was 10. I thought it was those little minute steaks. That's what my dad called steak. Fed them to us kids, and we thought we were eating steak. Well, I guess in a way we were. My favorite TV show when I was 10. Without a doubt. And I'm not sure if I was 10 during this time. I think I was. I didn't look. I'm just winging it here. But I had to be around 10, maybe 12. Mr. Ed. A horse is a horse, of course. I liked My Favorite Martian. Remember that show? The guy's little antennas would pop up. Ding. What else did I like? Of course, I liked Disney and Bonanza and some of that stuff. But Mr. Ed, talking horse, who could ask for anything better? My favorite babysitter. I can tell you my least favorite babysitter, just in a New York second here. Linda. Now, if your name's Linda, it probably wasn't you. But we had this babysitter, and I must have been picking on my brothers or something, or we were wrestling and made them cry or something. Linda held me down and let my 2 little brothers pummel me. I guess all over, face, stomach, whatever. Well, I ratted them out when my mom got home, and Linda was in trouble. My mom went and talked to Linda's mom, and that's the last time I ever saw Linda, basically, at least in my house. My favorite babysitter, though, was Frances. This older lady. Well, she probably wasn't older. She's probably my mom's age. Everyone's old when you're 10. And all of us kids had measles at the same time. And Frances came and stayed and helped my mom for several days. Now, she had kids of her own. Freddie was only a couple years older than me, one of her kids. And Pat was probably 3 or 4 years older than me. And she came and stayed and helped my mom through that measles outbreak. Frances was my favorite babysitter. Places to go. Well, besides going to the park and maybe down behind the football practice field in the Willows there, or Wayne's house, I think my favorite place to go was the Ford garage and look around there and see Irma, who'd always call me honey. Yeah, I think the park was my first. It had the baseball field, the patch we played football and all that stuff. My favorite restaurant, no doubt about it, Stella's. It was a Dairy King in town, had the world famous Stella burger, chocolate dip cone. Make any kind of Coke you want, chocolate Coke, vanilla Coke, chocolate vanilla Coke, cherry Coke, lemon Coke, cherry lemon Coke. I don't care what you wanted. Stella's crew would do that. And they always had some high school girl working the window there. Sometimes I really liked those high school girls. How could I tell when I was 10? Maybe I was a little older when I started noticing the high school girls. My favorite toy. Oh, we had all kinds of stuff, But I think my very favorite toy was Little Men. Little 2-inch plastic, unbreakable plastic, rubberized plastic, soldiers and Indians and cowboys. That was my favorite toy. Most definitely. My favorite game, either Parcheesi or Chinese checkers. I can remember playing those with my brothers. Now, I remember Uncle Wiggily too, but it wasn't my favorite, and I think that was more of a baby game, like 5-year-olds or something. Give me a good game of Parcheesi, give me a good game of Chinese checkers, any day. My favorite comic book. Well, there were a lot of them, and by the time I was 10, I wasn't into X-Men and Superman too much, I don't think. I'd read some of that action down at my uncle's barbershop waiting to get a haircut. But my favorite comic book, I do believe, was Archie. I liked Jughead, I really liked Betty, and I didn't like Reggie. My favorite drink. This is a hard one. I think it might have been a root beer float. Yeah, either that or a cherry Coke. A root beer float. We'll go with that. I still like those. I like to make them at home and fill the glass full of ice cream. Totally full. Pour a little root beer in. And that ice cream, you drink a little root beer, pour more in. I don't get to do that anymore because I'm trying to watch my boyish figure. 72 years old. I'm trying to keep my weight down. I'm healthier for it. And I do miss those root beer floats. Maybe I'll make one this summer. Wild animal. What was my favorite wild animal? What's your favorite wild animal? Let me think here. I think the buffalo or bison, whatever you want to call it. Those have always fascinated me. Deer and elk, not so much because I saw them a lot living up there in the mountains. Now, I see deer around my house here in Kansas all the time. You could see deer and elk all the time. Elk used to lay around on the hills right outside of town, especially as I got older. This one resort started feeding them. But the buffalo was just this amazing, huge beast. And it also, I was aware of how we almost eliminated the buffalo from this good earth. And it made me sad. It really did. And I've always kind of been for an underdog anyway. Maybe that was it more than anything. We also had a buffalo barbecue up in Lake Town, 16 miles north of my hometown. That was a big time up there. Parades and thousands of people. And this big barbecue where we could eat buffalo. Now, eating a buffalo was okay with me. That was okay, yeah. But to kill them just to kill them to just eliminate the Indian, kill them for the sport of it, and that's all, just let them lay there. Heck with that. I'm against that on any level with anything, period. Especially the buffalo. My favorite domestic animal. Hands down. No debate, no hesitation, no nothing. The dog. And what kind of dog, you might ask? Well, I am attracted towards the shepherd, husky, malamute type dog. Anything that reminds me of a wolf, I think. But my ideal dog is a cur, a mutt, a Heinz 57. After that, I don't really much care. I like them to be a little bit bigger, 50 pounds or more, just so they can defend themselves out in the country. But besides that, I'll give a howl to just almost any dog. Just almost any dog. My favorite movie when I was a kid. Well, I wanted to say Mary Poppins, but I think that may have came out after I was older than 10 or 12. I was probably older than 12. I don't know for sure. So I'll say the one that I identified with the most, and that is Lady and the Tramp. Not so much the lady, although the lady was a Cocker Spaniel. My first dog was a Cocker Spaniel, and I loved that dog. And I thought old lady was kind of fetching for a dog, you know what I mean? But I identified with Tramp. Still do in a weird sort of way. Especially that spaghetti scene, him and lady. I always ask my wife if we can do that, She just kind of gives me the elbow and the solar plexus, and I eat my spaghetti by myself. Cartoon TV show. I'm prone to say Augie Doggy and Doggy Daddy, but that is because of an experience I had later in life where my nickname became Augie so I identified with those guys, but I'm not sure they were my favorite when I was 10. I think it was somebody like Huckleberry Hound. I liked Huck. Old Huck. Our song of the week this week is The Battle of New Orleans. It was written in 1959 and recorded that same year by Johnny Horton. His version hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts in 1959, and it was the number 1 song for the entire year of 1959. This great song was covered by many bands and recording artists, such as Pete Seeger, Doug Kershaw, Johnny Cash, Leon Russell, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and Deep Purple. My favorite version of this song is by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. If you've never heard it, you ought to get on YouTube and listen to the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's version. We fired our cannon till the barrel melted down, so we grabbed an alligator and fought another round. Our unusual fact this week: most famous person of 1960 probably was Doris Day. The new dance in 1960 was the Bossa Nova. The Flintstones first appeared on TV in 1960, and it showed at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Well, I guess I could go on and on. I just wrote those things down. And probably if I would do this same podcast tomorrow, I'd have some different answers in there, possibly. Maybe I wouldn't drone on and on. But that's what I do. I get on something, I don't want to let go. I'm like a dog with a bone. You know, a mutt with a bone. How about playground equipment? I think my very favorite, was that slide. Get up on it, slide down as fast as you can because it's 199,000 degrees. So you have blisters on your butt and acceleration in your eyes. But I also like the swings, where you could swing as high as you could go and bail out without a parachute. I liked the merry-go-round too, but that was quite dangerous, and I always knew when I was getting on that sucker I was taking my life into my hands. But I lived to tell about it, and it was quite a ride. Always be kind everywhere you go, to everyone and everything you encounter. Do it with a smile and do it willingly, and you'll be so very, very glad that you were kind. I'll be back next Wednesday with bells on. I love Wednesdays. Peace out.